Oh. Cupepta? Huh. Whoopsie! Oh! Doopsa!
Hello, hello. This is Catfish Out of Water, and we are recapping our last live stream. It was our first live stream ever, so thank you so much, everyone who participated. It was a lot of fun. It's not something that I've ever done before, though, so there was a pretty big learning curve. So thank you, everyone who's been helping me out through this and giving suggestions. I appreciate it so much. I would also use the audio from the live stream, but it was utter garbage, so we are just going to recap it. So if you missed the first live stream, don't worry, we can catch you up here and then you can get on track with where we're going. We also have the benefit of hindsight, so you're going to get some inside scoop in here, which means that if you did watch live, you're going to get some extra things in this recap as well. When we were first building the sim, I did not know what challenge we want to do. I definitely build more than I play, so having a challenge helps me actually get into the game and play with the houses that I build, which was getting a little bit boring. As much as I like building houses, you don't get the catharsis at the end if you don't actually play with them. So I want to actually endeavor to play with my houses, which means I have to build a sim, and I don't build sims that often. I had no idea there were this many eyeballs. I mean, every now and then I notice we get a new eyeball, but I'm almost never in CAS, so I don't notice the eyes. And even if I am in CAS, I'm usually not in CAS full edit mode because I don't cheat different eyes. I don't even give them different hair colors, which is probably boring, but it means I never get in to see all of the fun eyeballs. So it would be super exciting to get a fun eyeball in this challenge, whatever that challenge ends up being. A note from future self, I do believe we're going to do the Black Widow challenge because it is not a generational challenge. I do not want to do another 10 generational challenge. As fun as those are, I just spent 6 months doing a generational challenge, and it's going to take me at least 6 months to upload all of those videos. So let's do something a little bit simpler. And I think I want to build a starter home for this sim. I do like starting out the challenges with the amount of simoleons that you're supposed to have. And I'm not good at that because, again, I like building mansions with just an obscene amount of color. If you've seen my one box challenge, yeah, we went a little off the rails. We started with a 1x1 tile and we ended up filling the entire 64x64 lot with like 8 stories and an entire basement vampire lair for Vlad, who we killed in the front yard. But those 64x64 lots, some people put entire towns on them, and I had a single sim with a couple cats. So that is the vibe we are going with here. I did just use all of the preset noses and eyes and stuff, but you know what? This works, and I do think we ended up with a pretty fun sim. This is not the nose I use, though. Not that I mind a bird person or Cindy Lou Who here, but we did go for a different nose and a more fun ear, which does mean, do we make her an occult? I did not think about this during the challenge because I never do anything in CAS, but do we make her an occult? We're already in, so we're already stuck with her being human, but we're not necessarily stuck with her being human. You know, there are ways to make them not human any longer, some easier than others. I wonder if there's one I haven't played yet, because I've definitely played a vampire being bit. I turn all of my sims into magicians because I use them to bring people back to life, which you can also do on the wishing well if you have more simoleons than time. I do like the fairies too, but I've maybe played too many fairies. I know. We never thought we would get fairies. I never thought we would get fairies. I used to talk about what would I like in The Sims in a perfect world, and fairies never counted because there was no way they were ever going to give us fairies. And I kind of think they only gave us fairies to placate us through all of the changes that we are not exactly thrilled about. I don't play werewolves often because I super don't like them destroying all of the furniture. But you know what I play less than werewolf? It's freaking mermaids! I think I have only played mermaids once ever. And that sim didn't have a bathtub because I didn't know you needed a bathtub yet. And yeah, I didn't do anything with them because they also didn't live on a water lot. And I never saw that they were a mermaid. They never did anything with their mermaid powers. I don't even know what the mermaid powers are. I feel like they're terrible. I feel like the mermaid tails are so fun. And sometimes I do design a sim in CAS. I made a pretty fun mermaid that I never played with. The cast for that is fantastic. The gameplay, horrible. Horrible. They should have waited. I feel like that's one of those things where they rushed it and it just was not complete yet because mermaids are horrible. Ghosts are also really bad. It really frustrates me that ghosts have to pee. Like, why does my ghost still have to use the bathroom? They can walk through walls. How is the urine staying in their body? They should not have to eat. They should not have to poop. I also usually don't put a lot of makeup on my Sims. I tend to do 5 outfits for every single outfit category though, and by the time we get to the makeup, I'm just like over it. So maybe we'll do a fun makeup for her, and then I will just apply it to every single outfit and call it a day. I sometimes do a different makeup on the formal wear, or if they don't wear makeup at all, I will only do the formal wear. It's partially because all of the makeup we have is terrible, but now that you can tattoo their faces and you are stuck with that in every single outfit, then even their sleepwear is full glam. But I do like that feature a lot. I also use it when in high school I forget to use the acne cream. And then I just kind of cover up the scars with tattoos. They do sometimes look like they are running for political office, which is sometimes what I'm going for. So, it's a look. Onward to the outfits. I do really like this green on her. It does match her eyes well. So I do think we're going to try to play up the green. And I do not make stick figures. So we're going to make her a real sized human being. I also miss the cheat in The Sims 2 where you could make them taller and shorter. It just stretched them and it was super glitchy. So I can see why they didn't do it. But I miss being able to make taller and shorter Sims. And yeah, I'm also gonna just find a new body type for her entirely. I like to use what they've got going as a jumping off point, and then I'm gonna go rogue from there. No promises the sim is gonna end up looking anything like how we start. This is me from the future though, and I have infinite power to change anything that I like. I did not think about making her a mermaid the first playthrough, so you are getting a sneak peek in the afterthoughts. I do think this sim would be really into jewelry though. I tend to pick like a statement piece, like they're into watches or they're into rings or they're into earrings. I tend not to do everything because that's a lot of stuff to do, and I don't want this live stream to be that long. Part of the reason I don't ordinarily live stream is because this takes me forever. I sometimes am just like, I don't quite know what I want. And then I'll go through every single item in the game until I find something that's acceptable. And anyone want to watch me do that? I don't know. Maybe it's the ASMR of it all. I do tend to like watching live streams while I'm playing, which is probably counterintuitive, but I don't know. It's like having a buddy while you're playing. Someone else is playing with you in the live stream. I do like a good boot. So much about the vibe of the outfit is the shoe. I definitely think the shoe is a pivotal part. And we do have some really fun boots. I put a lot of loafers on my Sims too. I just want something that's going to mold to the shape of my foot. And like a good pair of leather loafers absolutely does that. You hadn't quite figured out what the Sim was going to do yet. And like if you don't know where they're going to live or what they're going to do for a job or what climate they're in, it's really difficult to dress them. I've had my Sims meet in Sulani and then realize they live on Mount Komorabi, and I'm like, oh, I cannot put you in a bathing suit all of the time. It is not quite the right climate for that weather. I will never forget. I used to live on the beach though, and like it was chillier than you would necessarily expect out of being on an ocean. But people were dead set on wearing their flip-flops and their little short shorts and their little bikini top and then a big puffy coat over it, which, is not only a look, it is an iconic look. So good for that. I do think we're getting somewhere with the shoes though. I like a boot with her outfit, and this brown works works really well. So I think these might be a winner for the shoes. Not sure that they're the shoes we want in the desert, but that's a problem we'll get to when we get there. It does tie in the earth tones, and I am looking for an earth toned sim. I do like this green and the brown on her, and I've been doing a lot of builds that have kind of that aesthetic going on. I've been on kind of a mid-century modern kick with a little bit of Frank Lloyd Wright and industrial thrown into the mix. So this seems to vibe with that. This works with that. And it does work with a quirky sim. The houses can be a little bit architecturally interesting, but a boring color palette, and that's something new to explore. And I do believe that that works with like a greeny earth tone, especially in the desert. There's a lot of brown in the desert. A little pop of green would be fantastic. It also wouldn't be one of my sims if we didn't put them in like bat tights. I've actually never used these tights. I have tried so many times. I feel like I put them on every single sim, but our tights are kind of weird. Like, what are these ice capade tights? So, I mean, weird is the point. Weird is the point. I just need to embrace the quirkiness of the sim. That is what I like about The Sims more than other life simulation games. It's the quirkiness. It's them randomly getting abducted by aliens while minding their own business inside their houses. Which does, like, is that a glitch? Why are they being abducted by aliens when they're not even outdoors? Not using a telescope, not doing anything that would get them normally abducted by aliens. Just sit at home watching TV, all of a sudden getting up, wandering outside, and oh, they're poof, they're gone. Not sure where that's coming from, but none of my Sims have gotten pregnant that way, and I don't know what's with that. It used to be really difficult to get them abducted by aliens, and then they fixed that in a bug fix. I used to sit out there on a telescope or an observatory just for Sim weeks and weeks and weeks trying to get them abducted by aliens, and it would never happen. It was obnoxious. So now I'm glad that they do get abducted more, but they get abducted a lot more and doing things that should not get them abducted by aliens. Aliens are also an occult that is really boring. What can you do? You can find things out about Sims, only the Sims hate you because you're an alien. So as much as that skill might be kind of useful, you can also get it with an aspiration reward for like 500 reward points or something like that. So that's not really a superpower. That's something that already exists in game. And then what? They just have different outfits sometimes? That is not a power. At least make it so that I don't have to pee or something. Literally anything. Anything at all to do with aliens. And it's very difficult to have children who are aliens. They're all half aliens. And then people still hate them, but they have no alien powers. So can we pretty please get an update to aliens and mermaids and ghosts, because they hadn't really fully fledged out occults at that point and they're super boring to play with. Also, my cat is dropping mouse on my lap and I have to play fetch with her. She is very good about if I toss the mouse, she will bring the mouse back to me and then I will throw the mouse for her again and she can catch it midair. It's absolutely adorable and I don't know how she came up with it. I have never taught a dog to play fetch, let alone a cat to play fetch. So that is all credit to Miss Darlabean. I do think this sim would wear a lot of jewelry, and I do think that works with Sims in the desert. There is always someone trying to sell you turquoise jewelry or something out there. Actually, I don't know if they still do that, but it used to be if you went to the desert, at least in the area that I lived in, they would try to sell you jewelry and get you to join a cult. I do have a lot of Sims that I think would be in cults, though. I do build a lot of their personalities around, are you in a cult? Are you now, or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? And is there something nefarious in your basement? Which is almost always a yes. There are definitely some basement layers that aren't exactly screaming, I haven't joined the communist revolution. I also built a lot of Sims in like the 40s through 70s time frame. So the Red Scare definitely takes on a different connotation. We do not have a good 50s housewife dress. For being a life simulation that is based on the perfect nuclear family, why do we not have a 50s housewife dress? I just want something with a little hoop skirt and some tiny fun heels. There are some heels that I kind of make work with that, but the dress, I need the dress of a 1950s housewife. Why is that not already in the game? We also need some good dad shorts from that era because I have this very quintessential image of a man barbecuing clothing in some very like 50s houseman shorts. There's also a very specific waistline to men's pants at the time that we don't really have a great pair of slacks for. The amount of times I go through every single taupe pant trying to find just one good neutral slack, and they're all terrible. There's a lot of them. There's a lot to choose from. They all kind of miss the mark. I do think this sim would have a lot of fun with formal wear, and I really like a pant for a formal wear, so this isn't a horrible starting off point. I also super like these pants. I have absolutely no idea where a sim is going in this pant. Like, where are we wearing this other than drunk at an art gallery, which is an aesthetic. That is an aesthetic that I probably base way too much of my wardrobe around. I also have to resist the urge to put every sim in all black. I also live in black. I just had a physical therapy appointment where the physical therapist was like, you just had to wear black. I'm like, I always wear black. I'm from a climate where it rains 9 months out of the year. I'm not wearing white. I will maybe, if I'm feeling lucky, put on like a maroon sweater. Otherwise, if you haven't seen my avatar, all black. Every single outfit is black. That is pretty on par for my wardrobe selection. I do think that every sim is kind of a reflection of you though. So they've all got a little bit of that quirky personality. Like if I were in their shoes, what would I be wearing? I was at Costco once and not one, not two, but three people stopped me in Costco, stood in front of my cart and gave me unsolicited advice about the things in it. And I'm like, am I wearing something weird today? Because yeah, that gave me some weird attention that I was not expecting or prepared for. So let your freak flag fly. But be cognizant that you cannot change the way other people perceive you. Do we think the sim would be in a suit jacket, not knowing what she's going to do for her job? That's kind of hard to say because some sims are definitely going to be wearing a blazer as their formal wear. And we love a good pantsuit. I do think she would maybe wear a crop top to a formal event though. She looks like she might be the kind of sim who could pull that off. If we're gonna put her in the Black Widow challenge, we're also not allowed to have a job. So maybe it is a little bit weird that we're putting her in a blazer, but she has flowered pants on. Like she doesn't look like she's at a corporate event. She just happens to like blazers. And who doesn't like that like nice satin lining on the inside of a good suit? Like even if you're drunk at an art gallery, this might be a comfortable outfit. And you do have to schmooze with all of the corporate people. So, you know, even if we do make her a bohemian artist in the desert who wears a lot of jewelry and kills all of her husbands, that kind of tracks with where we're going with this. And the socks with the shoes is fantastic. I may put some socks with some shoes that don't necessarily need socks. I do spend a lot of time thinking about whether my sim would be wearing socks and what kind of socks and whether they are socks in the house person or bare feet in the house person. Or I even have some sims that are like barefoot all of the time. I also try to think about like what pieces would they rewear? Like which pant is their favorite pant that is their go-to pant? Or like what sweatshirt do they wear to sleep and to the gym and on a lazy summer day? Because even if you don't do a capsule wardrobe, you do have your favorite statement pieces that you just wear over and over again with slightly different variations. Like no one is buying an entirely new pair of shoes for every single outfit. So I will pick like 2 to 5 shoes that they just keep re-wearing because those are the shoes that they own. Also depending on the sim. Like some sim, same shoe every day, no matter what. Not changing that shoe at all. Some sims maybe have a few more shoes. They're a little bit wealthier because shoes are expensive and just absolutely love a new pair of shoes with every outfit. Or sunglasses. Sometimes I'll give them like 5 pairs of sunglasses. We all know that person who loses so many pairs of sunglasses that they just have 50 sunglasses lying around. And I am absolutely that person. I probably only wear the same 3 sunglasses over and over again, but I have a pair of sunglasses every single place I might want to grab a pair of sunglasses. They're in the car, they're with my keys, they're sitting on the counter. I just have sunglasses everywhere. And yet I still, every single time I leave the house, forget to grab a pair of said sunglasses. And then I cry in the sun because my eyeballs cannot deal with the change in brightness. Oh, you know what I didn't think of? So, one of our formal wear outfits has to be a funeral outfit. Do we need to put any of her outfits in formal mourning as well? Like, do we need some all black? I am officially mourning the death of my husband before I move another husband in and also kill him and need to wear black again. So maybe we will have to go back and add 5 outfits for every category, which I like doing anyway. I really like my sim waking up and putting on an outfit and have no idea what outfit they're going to put on. So maybe we'll do another live stream where we add the rest of the outfits. A lot of people don't know that you can do 5 outfits for every category, and it is a lot of outfits, and I didn't do it specifically because it takes a lot of time. When it comes to athletic wear, I also try to think about what my sim is doing, and very often I feel like they're playing tennis, even though we do not have an option for tennis. We have ice skating, but we do not have tennis. Why do we not have tennis? Or golf? You know how many of my sims would probably just be golfing? I would love a golf interaction to go with all of the golf outfits I inevitably put all of my sims in. Shout out to Nymphadora in the live stream who suggested this sim should be jogging because I had absolutely no idea what sport I thought this sim would be playing. And yes, I do think she would be jogging. Jogging looks like something she would do. So we did make this outfit more of a jogging outfit, and I do still really like her in a crop top. And I feel like if she is wearing a crop top in her formal wear, she is absolutely wearing a crop top in her athletic wear. I'm looking for a good cropped jacket though, and I feel like there are so many varieties of crop jacket, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure out exactly which crop jacket I want to do, but I did probably try almost every single one of them in the game at least once or twice or 3 times. Part of it's getting a grasp on her color scheme, and I like to kind of color coordinate sims as much as the like color picker generators don't really work in this at all. What do you mean that is white? That has 800 different colors in it, and you put that in the white swatch? Are you kidding me? Not that I put a lot of sims in white. White is kind of boring. But every now and then I feel like there's a wealthy sim who just bleaches the shit out of everything. I do really like a color scheme though. That is something I really enjoyed about the Not So Berry Challenge. There was a built-in color scheme with every single sim, and we never had to think about what we were doing in that outfit category. Not that it wasn't also difficult, and my use of that color in the houses really devolved over time. That it started off so strong. We were so mint colored. That was a great color to start off on. Around purple, it really started to evolve, and by green, I don't know how I screwed up green so badly because green should have been the easiest color. I struggled so much with the green sim. He was abnormally buff. I also love a thumb hole in a shirt. I don't know if that's like a short person thing because my shirts are always too long and are going to go down way past my fingers anyway. So maybe having the thumb hole gives it a reason for the shirt to be long. But I do absolutely enjoy a shirt with a thumb hole. And I do think that she would do this in green, and we are on brand with our color scheme, which I guess is desert nature neon. What do we want to do for a jogging pant though? I'm torn between like a legging, which personally is my go-to jogging pant, but I don't think is the go-to jogging pant for everyone because some people are going to want like actual sweatpants or shorts. I mean, we are in the desert. If we are taking climate into consideration, I feel like a legging may be too hot, especially if we're going with a long sleeve shirt. So as much as I like a legging, maybe a legging is not it. Maybe we are doing short. A long sleeve shirt with a short feels like it would work more in the desert. I mean, it does get very cold in the desert in the winter or when the sun goes down, but I feel like we're not, jogging in the middle of winter in the dark. So I'm going to go with a short. Who knows? Maybe we'll meet one of the husbands that we have to murder at the gym. I do really enjoy these sets of shorts, and they have some really great colors. I don't always consider my Sims to be in the modern day as much as they have computers and cell phones and such. It's kind of like they're going for more of a vintage style. There is also not a good category for athletic pants. I always feel like I have to turn the athletic toggle off, and I never actually use any of pants that is intended for this category. I wish that you could make your own categories or favorite your own or literally do anything to this menu bar that would customize anything at all. The amount of times that I have to go back in and be like, all right, what pant am I using? What section is this in? How do I find this in another category? Gotta turn the athletic wear off and then turn another category on and scroll down to the exact placement of the pant because I don't remember where that pant is in the midst of all of the other pants and whether it shows up in formal wear software or not. So yeah, a favorite bar would be absolutely excellent. I do think there are some mods that do that, but I tend not to play with mods. Every now and then I'll put in Better Build By or Tool Mod, or oh, if we could get games to start on pause, that would be so helpful. The amount of times I have walked away because it has taken too long to load, and I've come back in like 2 sim weeks have just played by, and then I have to start it over again. And hopefully not wander away from the computer. For a jogging sneaker though, I think we are just going kind of plain. I mean, nothing in this outfit is plain. So if we put a plain sneaker on it, it might kind of balance out all of the neon green and 80s explosion happening with these shorts here, which is a look. It's an iconic look. I am liking the direction that this is going. I do realize the irony of putting her in a desert climate where she is going to be jogging in the sand, that she will absolutely never stay the color that we want it to be. I do think this sim would be very into accessories, and when I jog, my ears get cold, so it would be really nice to get some kind of earmuff or headband or something. Not that we have a lot of variety in that, but there are some good earmuffs and headphones that might work for something like that. I also really like this hat with the headphones because there is another hat that matches this that does not have the headphones. And if you ever want a sim not to wear the headphones, there is that option. I do not know why that with the headphones it is gender neutral, and without the headphones it is only a female hat. So that's weird. Also, I am not actually much of a jogger. I had a doctor tell me completely unprompted that I am not built for jogging and should not do it. So do not come out of this thinking by any stretch of the imagination that I jog. I have in the past tried. I've run a couple 5Ks, but there's not a lot of jogging in my immediate future. On to sleepwear. I am very excited about a new robe. I love a new robe. I always feel like the robes make them look like they're in cults. So that is a good look for us. I don't know if that's a look for this sim. If it was in a better color, I don't know if this screams I'm in the desert enough, but maybe we'll circle back to it. This was merely coincidental because I absolutely adore this robe, but I don't think we can do a Black Widow challenge without putting our sim. What? No, I didn't kill my husband robe. This is one of my favorite items in the game. It has good texture, good color, good arm placement that does not always happen. And every time you put them, or certain sims with certain body types in them, their arms just clip into themselves. It has a cute little bow, and it goes absolutely fabulously with a little kitten heel, which I did swap out several times and debate about a color, but I do tend to do that when I don't know exactly which one I want to use. Maybe I have trouble with visually conceptualizing what something is going to look like without actually ever seeing it. So yeah, I will just sit here for like an hour and hyper focus on scrolling through every single shoe and every single color variation that said shoe comes in until I come up with something that I think works, which is usually something I found 8 shoes ago, or maybe more like 800 shoes ago. Either way, you cannot say we weren't thorough in choosing a shoe that works with this outfit. We are at some point also going to have to address the fact that we're going to put this sim in the desert. So I need to give her a pair of shoes that are not a high heel. At some point, she's going to be walking in some sand. And as super fun as it would be if they could struggle to walk around in sand, they'll be fine. But do we maybe need like a cowboy boot, or at least a flat? We will explore flats for her at some point. We gotta go out and meet people though. Like, we're out on the town trolling for husbands. So, a high heel isn't that far-fetched when we are, I guess, not in the desert. A good thing about party outfits is you do not necessarily have to party at home. Not every sim is throwing a dinner party. Although in one of the variations of this challenge, you did have to throw a dinner party with every single husband. And I hate the dinner parties. They are so glitchy. That aspiration absolutely never works. There are only a couple types of parties that count as parties, and it drives me nuts because I always forget which ones they are. And I guess I could write it down somewhere, but I'm gonna leave myself one note. This is the dinner party that counts for this aspiration because nothing else counts, even though it sounds like it should. Maybe instead of selling the company, you should focus just a little bit more on bug fixes. I know they break everyone's mods, but I love a good bug fix. Do you know how many things used to be broken and are fixed now? They have put so much more effort into bug fixes than they used to. It used to just break and then absolutely nothing. Not that a lot of it isn't still broken with absolutely nothing. I just posted something where my game crashed like 3 3 times, which is another reason I worry about the live streams. Like, what do we do if it just crashes? I guess it's gonna happen. It happens, fairly regularly, especially with plants and roofs and terrain paint. Almost always when trying to change the height of the walls or the platforms, at least 800 times a build. Plants didn't used to work though, so really glad they fixed that. Don't know how I feel about houseplants. So much work to keep them okay, but then they don't give you anything. It's like axolotls. I don't understand why we can't sell axolotls like we can frogs. They get stuck in your inventory. You have to sit there and individually release every single one of them. And you cannot get a rare axolotl unless you already have a rare axolotl. You have absolutely no ability to breed them. You can breed them once you have them, but you have to have them in order to breed them, which I feel like defeats the purpose. Also, not that I want to be like breeding prize winning axolotls to sell to the community, but I do want to be able to get rid of them more easily. They just clog up your inventory, and if you have too much stuff in your inventory, then it slows down your entire game and causes game crashes. I had a sim who was a collector and just absolutely stalled the game so badly with the amount of stuff in his inventory. But other sims are more likely to trade you something you don't have, so you have to keep everything in your inventory if you're trying to do trades to get the missing piece, because that does work, but it will screw up your game function. I put probably every single necklace on this sim in the entire game. I don't know why I struggle with jewelry so much sometimes. Maybe it's because I don't wear a lot of jewelry personally, so trying to find something that coordinates with like the 8 other elements in this outfit and what's their color season, and do they do better with gold or silver or rose colored jewelry? Are they mixing metals? I also think we would be very much into a hat. The sim feels like she would like hats. Even people who like hats, I feel like don't wear that many hats though, so you kind of got to figure out the like 2 or 3 hats that the sim is going to wear with absolutely every single outfit. And then maybe a wild card for formal wear or parties, and sometimes I throw them in the like owl mask because they're not eyes wide shutting it at all. And sometimes I make them furries like the land grabs every single time. I don't think the sim would be swimming. Every now and then I'm like, they are not in the pool. They were by the pool. They have a cocktail. They have a book. They are absolutely not in the water. So yes, we are going to do a hat. It is clipping into the ears a little bit, but not too bad. So we're going to pretend that's not happening. And we're going to put some shoes on because we are not in the pool. When I do all 5 outfits, I'll usually give them at least one where they're definitely in the pool and swimming. But when we are only doing one outfit, she is not in the pool. And we may keep all of the jewelry on. It's clearly an aesthetic choice at this point. That having been said, if your sim ever does get in the pool, obviously they will still have the hat and the shoes on, and it will look a little bit silly. But I'm pretty sure this sim is out on her front porch in a lounge chair with some sunscreen on because skincare is important, and we do not want to look like a leather couch. I always try to see if the sim can pull off the singing in the rain bucket hat. I do think we're going to put her in a desert climate, so it wouldn't really make sense, but I always try. We will maybe do a sun hat in the hot weather outfit though. I do tend to use the same hat for swimwear and hot weather wear because I feel like you're wearing those at the same time. Of course, they're going to coordinate just a little too much. And then maybe we'll try to put her in a crop top because that would make sense in the desert, in the hot weather. I also really like these pants that she started in. They look like they would be very comfortable and potentially silky. I would absolutely wear these pants in real life. As glitchy as the 4 red pack is, I use the build buy and the cast all of the time. It's maybe my favorite pack. I use 0 of the gameplay though. It also really bugs me that you can't do apartments in every other world that should have apartments because they weren't created yet and they're not game compatible. What? I tried so many shirts to make these pants work, and this color combination is so good. I'm just not sure that it fits with her aesthetic because I want something with a high neckline and a crop and not entirely yellow. This is a little bit too Vlad come hither. I haven't put much thought into which husbands we want to murder. In some versions of the challenge, you're only allowed to have single sims. You're not allowed to break up marriages, and it's like, why can't you break up a marriage? I'm gonna break up a marriage. I do always feel like the land grabs would end up together, but I'm looking at you, Jeffrey. Or Joffrey. I kind of feel like he would go by Joffrey. Like when the land grabs made their fortune, him and Nancy went to Europe and just came back with European accents, and now he goes by Joffrey. And Nancy can't give up her name because it's so much of her branding, but she pronounces it Nancy. Do you feel like their marriage works? And that is almost canon in game in almost every single play. Those two still end up together at the end. The Goths, almost never. No. They have a lot of kids, and then one of them mysteriously dies, which tracks. Although I was disappointed in The Sims 2 when Bella Goth wasn't in it. There are Mortimer and Morticia. They have to end up together or have a very, very messy breakup. Everyone wants to be looked at that way until the intensity literally kills you. So maybe looking at you, Mortimer, watch your back. I also do not always make straight Sims, but I did not for 1 second question what we were going to do in this. If a man kills his wife, or even if a man kills his husband, jail immediately. Do not pass go. There is no question that there was foul play. And we protect the dolls here. If a woman kills her husband, though, my very first thought is, what did he do? So as much as we could have had anyone murdering any of their spouses, we are absolutely having a woman kill her husbands. I'm thinking about doing some kind of shrine or mausoleum or just museum of said husbands in the basement. There is no way we are not stealing everyone's family fortune and not building something epic and nefarious in the basement. Also, I am very aware this is not the sweater for the climate, but it's a crop top. It has the turtleneck. It's a little bit, you get a little bit of shoulder, like that hints to it's maybe hot weather. Also, maybe we'll make her a mermaid and maybe she struggles with temperature regulation. She's not supposed to be outside of the water. She's in the wrong climate. Maybe that's why she kills her husband. She's just cold and needs to be wet. Do we build her a swimming pool? We would then have to give her an outfit to swim in, though. Did not necessarily think that one through. Although, then wouldn't the jig be up? People would be able to see that we're a mermaid. Like, if we're just splashing around in a tail in our front yard, we're supposed to be incognito and only mildly suspicious. I do really like these pants, though. I almost never get them to fit on a sim because let's be real, like look at them. They're a lot, but I love these pants. I try to put every sim in these pants, and we are gonna put this sim in these pants because I do like it with that shirt. And we would definitely wear a flowered pant. Does it fit in with everything else that we're wearing? Yes. Does it fit in with the climate that we are going to live in? No, but none of it does, so I'm just gonna run with that. And I'm sorry, I'm probably going to add another shoe. Apparently this sim really likes shoes, which I guess makes sense because none of her shoes fit in with the desert. So she is probably going through quite a bit of shoes. She's gonna need those extra shoes because they are gonna get absolutely covered in sand and destroyed. We're gonna need all those husbands to fund our shoe addiction. And look, if we just put a sun hat with it, it doesn't look that out of place in the desert. At least not for our bohemian artistic sim here. Maybe her secret aspiration is to become an artist and just get sidetracked along the way with an unfortunate love life. You know, it happens to the best of them. What's the saying? He's not competing with other men, he's competing with the peace of solitude. But we need the money, so look out, Vlad. Which Sims come with the most amount of starter money? Like maybe the land grabs? The Windenburg? I do very much like the lot that the Windenburg mansion is sitting on. I've only ever bulldozed the mansion, but the lot is fantastic. Finally, in winter wear, we have a reason to put her in a turtleneck. There are some really great coat options. I do always wish that you could take the coats on and off because sometimes I do not want them in a giant coat indoors, but you know, they're cold. And we do need something that we can go out prowling on the town with, so maybe a coat would make sense. This is another one that the live stream helped us with after I went through every single coat and sweater combination, probably like 3 times. We did just end up with the coat dress from Business and Hobbies. I guess the Penny Lane Band-Aids coat works with her style, though. I try to put it on every single sim, and I have to actively stop myself because I'm worried that I use it too much. There are a couple pair of pants that I just way overuse, and I'm worried people are gonna notice that I put them in the same outfits every single time. But you know what? There are only so many options, and some of them are better than others. And the rendering on this coat is very well done. You can almost feel the crunchiness of the faux fur. And we get another opportunity to put some fun tights on. or socks, something to go on the lower half of our body because we are cold. Had a slim pickings when it comes to green tights, though. I still don't understand why the tights are so weird. Like, maybe I'm running in the wrong circles, but I don't see a lot of these kind of tights on everyday people, which isn't even the problem. You know how many times I see people in a coat like this? Actually, I'm very excited every time I see someone in a coat like this. I am not excited when I see people in shiny tights, though. There are fun and quirky and interesting tights. We just don't have them in game, and nothing we have in game matches anything at all. Like, this is a very specific aesthetic, and that is not quite where we're going with this, although close, like ballpark adjacent. I do really like these socks though, but that is much more of a sleepwear sock than a like going around in the winter sock. Not that I don't want some like fuzzy neon thigh highs, but that is a very particular look. We may be reaching the point of oversaturation though, so maybe we need to go a little bit simpler with the tights. I know I tried all of these when we were first starting out in regular everyday wear. We did have sleepwear tights though, so I do think I am just gonna end up right back at the tights we were sleeping in, which we were not really sleeping in. And then we're gonna have to figure out another shoe. And it did not dawn on me until this moment that if we are going to turn her into a mermaid, of course she is obsessed with shoes. It is the only time she has feet. I made a concerted effort to reuse shoes. It did not happen even a single time, so we have a new pair of shoes with every single outfit now and like 3 different hats. But you know what? If we are going to be a mermaid and we spent most of our time in the water, of course we want to do some accessorizing when we actually have legs and all of our accoutrements aren't just floating away. That's a really great way to lose a bunch of hats. I have also thought about putting a mermaid aquarium in a build, and I don't think it's actually functional. Not because it doesn't work, because you can build it. You could absolutely build it. You just can't see inside of pools. So even if you put invisible walls or windows throughout the entire thing, you can't see them swimming. I have tried this. Not specifically for mermaids, but in a fish tank aquarium I wanted to see if I could swim in, and yes you can, but no you cannot see yours in. Maybe we'll still build her a giant fish tank. That was super fun. Although, does selling fish count as selling a collectible? Because if we do the Black Widow challenge, we could only sell collectibles. You know, fish have a collection. Does that make them collectibles? You do just go around and find them. You have to fish for them, and there is a fishing career, but that is a part-time job. And in one of the iterations of this challenge, you can have a part-time job until your first husband, because I did kind of want to make her an aspiring artist. But she can't sell paintings. Paintings aren't a collectible and you cannot make money. I think that counts as a job. So does fishing count as a job in the same way that painting counts as a job? But I'm tempted to say no, because those are collectibles. You could technically paint all of the paintings, but it wouldn't count as a collection. Also, I have tried to do that before, and I have never finished it. At least all of the excellent quality art, you gain skill too fast to actually get all of them in every category, but you could get all the excellent quality if you put more effort in than I have ever put in. For the Black Widow challenge, you do need to have the romance aspiration, so we will have to go back and change her aspiration, but maybe she will secretly want to be an artist. I guess serial killing is a type of performance art in a way. We'll at least do something artistic in the basement with all of their urns, and we'll do something architecturally creative with the house that we build and renovate using all of their money. And then we're pretty much going to check that we like everything artistic and quirky and generally romance, going to murder you themed. I sometimes forget that all these traits are back here, but you have 50 points to use, and I always run out of them. 50 is not enough, but I bet it lags your game if you do more than that. So 50 it is, and we will use them sparingly. But yeah, I think we would knit. I think we'd be a jokester. We'd better be a jokester. It would certainly help to be funny and probably go to cooking to reel in all of these bachelors or maybe married men whose marriages I'm going to break up. In one of the versions of this challenge, you are supposed to master the cooking skill, but I feel like I always inevitably master the cooking skill just in the process of having to eat every day. It would also be nice to fix that pie menu because it drives me nuts. It takes way too long to load. And if you tell them to have breakfast and then they go to make breakfast and it's outside of breakfast time, time they no longer make food anymore. And if you tell them to do literally anything after having them cook, they will do that instead of eating. And then there's all the attractions in the back, which are all sorts of fun. I wish there was a matchmaker or something that would help you find a sim that you are actually attracted to, because every now and then I put in some kind of combination of trait that apparently does not exist in the sim world, and they just spend their entire life hating absolutely everybody. I did come up with this in the Not So Very challenge, where I was specifically looking for a specific color so that the next sim would maybe have, red hair or whatever. And there is absolutely no way to just find redheaded sims. I tried so very, very hard to find a pink-haired sim. Felt like there should have been a pink-haired sim somewhere in world. There absolutely was not. Maybe at a certain point they stopped wanting colored-haired sims. Don't know what that's about, but we literally never found one. We did abscond with a fairy though, so I guess that's kind of pink. It was at least as pink as we were gonna get because there were no pink-haired sims in the entire world. I even kept going places trying to spawn them and bumping up the number of sim count. Nothing. Never got a pink-haired sim. Not once in world. Not since the game started, when we had a multitude of townies. Which does kind of mean that the only point of using any of these attraction things out here is to make the game actively more difficult. Not that it wouldn't be nice if our sim could find someone with all the traits that we're looking for, but they don't necessarily exist out there. So it might just be an act of futility to try. Although, we are an equal opportunity lover here. We may want to rethink loosening our requirements on husband material to wealthy and attracted enough to us to get married, and then we don't have to worry about you anymore. So let's just add almost all of these fits the bill. We do appear to be a very excitable sim, so that tracks with our general vibe. I think I'm also going to change this shirt, and I know we built the entire wardrobe around this green shirt, but you know what? I'm not sure it is quite the vibe. So even though we built absolutely everything around it, we are going to change out the shirt, and I cannot do any more sweaters. She lives in the desert. I cannot put her in any more sweaters. I say as I absolutely, probably, inevitably put her in yet another sweater. And yep, just another one of my absolute favorite sweaters because I apparently cannot help myself.